guided spirit Marla Goldberg. This podcast has been created with you in mind to acquaint you with some of the most incredible metaphysicians and spiritual leaders from around the globe who have helped others change their lives. In this interactive hour, you will be offered insights and techniques to help you make a difference in your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening platform. And here we go, on to the show. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? First and foremost, happy New Year. I want to wish everyone a happy, healthy, prosperous, joyful, an incredible 2023. And, the veils are lifting. So we have more and more things going on that allows us to manifest easier. But, a lot of people at the first of the year, they make these resolutions. And if you've heard me talk, if you've followed me for a while, I'm not a resolution gal. I feel they set you up for failure. I'm more of a let's set intentions and goals because I feel it's got a more positive vibe to it. And so what I wanted to do is talk with you today about the difference between resolutions and intention setting, goal setting. We'll spend most of our time on the goal setting and less of our time on the resolutions. But for you who try to do your resolutions year after year after year, how do they work for you? How do they benefit you? Do you make it throughout the course of the year, or does it fail within the first week of the year, within the first month? For the majority of people, within the first month of setting a resolution, they fail. And then what happens? The person might beat themselves up. The gym is a big one, right? Everybody at the beginning of the year is like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym more. And which is really trying for many people, because if you live in the tundra, when it's cold out, I don't know about you, but I know for me, it doesn't motivate me to go to the gym. Being in workout clothes and going through the slush and the snow or the ice or the cold makes me go, oh God, no. And because I've got so much going on in my home office, that it's like, that's my shiny penny. It's like, oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. And anything and everything get in the way of me being able to accomplish working out. So I don't set resolutions anymore. I truly feel that resolutions are a tradition in which people they resolve to create or continue practices or change what's going on in their life, their behavior or their accomplishments. Like, I'm going to quit smoking, but they don't. And I will tell you from being a former smoker, that is a really, really hard thing to do. Quitting smoking is almost as hard as quitting sugar, which I have accomplished. I've accomplished both, but it's taken a while, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more. What else are resolutions? They're difficult to keep. They're difficult to stay focused on, but they also have a negative vibration to them. I don't know. Do you feel that way? Would love to know what you think about resolutions. Do you find that they feel positive or negative to you? Most, as I mentioned, resolutions fail within the first month. And then we get down on ourselves and we start feeling like failures, which do we really need another reason to get down on ourselves or beat ourselves up? Absolutely not. So what's the difference between setting a resolution and setting an intention? Well, they're both nouns, but the difference is resolution is a strong will, determination, while the intention is a course of action that a person intends to follow. So one is, you can use it instead of intention, you can call it goal setting. And goal setting has a more positive ring to it, a more positive vibe to it. Resolutions tend to fail because a lot of times when we resolve things, we make the big resolution, like I'm going to lose 50 pounds. That's my New Year's resolution. In this year, I'm going to do that. Well, why not say, what I'm going to do is resolve to eat healthier? Well, that's also intention setting, right? eating healthier, which will then moving more, setting an intention. I don't know if you can feel the difference or not. I know what the difference is, and that's why I stopped with these resolution setting trends. What I do is, as you know, I look at each day as a blank canvas that I can create any way I want. So even if I wake up with a headache or I'm tired, I have a choice. And as you know, I talk about the power of choice. And the choice is, do I want to just be all grumbly and cranky and see if I can shrug it off? Or do I set the intention that, no, I'm not going to let this affect my day. I'm going to shrug it off and make it the absolute best day I can make it. Bringing into my day whatever it is I want to do, what I want to accomplish. I have a list book. It's one of those things where you can just write down what your to-dos are for the day, and where I can check them off. And I don't necessarily check off every one of them, but what I do is hit the ones that are really important to me. And that's another way of goal setting, because you can set the intention that this is what you need to accomplish within a day, a week, a month. You don't necessarily have to, if you're going to create a class, for example, which is something I'm working on, well, you need to give yourself the space and grace to create the class. It's not going to be done in a day. Not necessarily, not unless you're an absolute whiz kid and have everything so rote that you can really just push it out in one day. Give yourself a month to accomplish that and do it a little bit each day and time block that. So you might want to put an hour a day into creating your class. Setting the bullet points, timing it, practicing it, and see if that fits in your window of time that you are creating your class in. So if it's an hour, making sure you're done in an hour to be respectful of the attendees' time. Because if that's what you promote, that's what should happen. Now, sometimes, and I know we've all been in classes like this where we get so caught up in the questions because the questions are so good and they're so meaty and they're so juicy that conversation makes things go over. That's a little bit different than saying this class will be an hour and you keep talking about the subject matter for 2. That's a whole different intention. But I digress. We're going back to intention setting. Intention setting is about you and what you want in your life, rather than what you want to eliminate in your life. When you say, I don't want this, well, what is that? Is that a positive thing? No, because you're telling Spirit, I don't want something, but Spirit doesn't know the difference of I want and I don't want. All they hear is that, like, I don't want people without integrity in my life. Well, Spirit just hears people without integrity. They don't hear, I don't want this, or I do want this. So how do you address this? And I use this because it's part of intention setting. So how do you address it? Well, you can say, if you're going to do, I do the pro and con list, but make sure that you address the pro of it immediately. I don't want people without integrity. Instead, I go with bring people to me who have integrity and honesty and I can trust and are joyful and are supportive and loyal, or all the things that I might want with somebody new coming into my life. And I'm not talking about romance. I mean, that's one area. It could be just relationships in general, or professional relationships, even neighborhood relationships. If you've lived in an area and you live with an HOA, you know how absolutely challenging it can be and negative, because people bring their whole own agendas into their circumstances. So I do this pro-con list constantly. Um, I did it while I was getting divorced, and I kept saying, okay, if I'm going to have another relationship, this is what I don't want from my partner. But on the other side, instead, I will gratefully and graciously be open and allow this to come into my life. And then I'd say all the traits that I wanted in them: loving, supportive, funny, easy to travel with, similar interests. And I would do that daily. And I have to tell you, talk about the law of attraction. I am so grateful each and every day because my husband of 12 years came to me with probably 90 to 95% of what I said I wanted. Because I didn't say, keep that away from me, and just leave it at that. No, you have to bring the opposite, the positive, into it. And bring the positive second so that it sort of offsets the negative. Intention setting is about a vibration also. It's about putting the vibration around what you want to bring into your life, the goals you want to bring. And I'd say I have a question. How many intentions do you make per year? Oh my goodness. I make a lot of intentions throughout the course of the year. And what I do for me on a daily basis is bring those intentions into my prayer. My daily prayers, which, as you've heard me talk about, are always start with gratitude, what I'm grateful for. And you can bring being grateful for, let's say your intention is to, I'm trying to think of a good one. Okay, make 5 new friends, or participate in 5 new meetups or social groups or activities. Well, if you are checking them off your list, I would say, if I went to an event, well, grateful for the event I went, grateful for the people who I met, grateful for those great conversations or the laughter that came. Of course, it's all personal, but this is how I would address it in the gratitude part. And excuse me, I have a clearing part in my prayers where I clear around myself and relationships. But then the last part before I go into my final last part is I let Spirit know what I'm gratefully and graciously open and ready to receive. And then, of course, at the end, you always show your gratitude. You thank Spirit for when you're doing this. And it's the same with attaining intentions. When you've accomplished it, say thank you. Thank you to yourself. Thank you to your beings on the other side who are always around. And when you put out the intention verbally, they start to work with you in achieving those, whatever it is you want. And here's the thing. I was never brought up with prayer, so I don't know the traditional way of praying or the Christian way or even the Jewish way. But I pray in my way. And so far it's worked. And it can work for you too. So in setting your intentions, okay, so I'm going to go back to the blank canvas. So I look at each day as a blank canvas, but intention setting is like looking at a giant wall-sized blank canvas that you can make and create any way you want. And so in putting that out, it's powerful. It's a high vibrational way of bringing to you what you want or stating what you want. It's creative. Because here's the thing about setting an intention, which is a little bit different than goal setting. You can intend that your artwork is award-winning and sells out each and every time you do a show. And then you can visualize, because that's part of creativity, visualize your artwork selling. Or if you're a resin artist or you make resin pieces, see it selling out. See it on an Etsy store or an online store, and that orders just keep rolling in. That's creative. You can create it the way you want to. And that's a piece of that canvas that you set an intention for. Let's say you want to change your eating habits. Let's say you want to go vegan. Well, first of all, that takes a little research. So you want to do it in a healthy way, because I will tell you, I went vegan when I was in my 20s and ended up making myself sick because I didn't know the proper way of balancing the micros and the macros and proteins and everything else that goes on. Here's another question. So manifesting and intentions are fairly similar. Yes. So first, how do you manifest something if you don't know what you want to manifest? So that is something you need to think about. Think about what it is you want to bring into your life. Think about, and I have a little exercise that I've written down here, which I'll get into in a minute. But without setting intentions, you don't know how to manifest, and spirit doesn't know how to, to manifest something if you're not setting a goal or intention around it. Again, another way of raising the vibration, because it's part of the law of attraction. But think outside the box when you're setting your intentions. As I like to say to my clients, when you're doing this, and this is with career coaching as well, take your limitations off the table. They're not even part of this. Don't worry about money. Don't worry about the how. Don't worry about the little minutia that usually stops you in your tracks. Write it down in terms of, okay, I want to be a world-renowned artist. Okay, I never painted in my life or drew anything, but I really feel drawn to this. This is what I want. Well, the ways to do is you set the intention, right? Which is, I want to be a world-renowned artist. Okay, and so your goal is, underneath it, you bullet point. Maybe you take classes or you watch YouTube videos. Initially you say, I'm going to buy the inexpensive paints and see if those sell. If they sell, you just keep upgrading and upgrading and upgrading. You put your artwork on the various platforms that sell art. And there are different kinds, like you have fine art. If you're just starting out, fine art might not be the right fit, but you can put it on Etsy, you can put it on Facebook, and just test the waters in a way that you can try out the intentions you want to set for yourself. It helps you progress to your goals, to manifesting. Because when you do achieve a goal, what did you just do? You manifested the goal. Because if you didn't put the energy, first of all, you didn't put the intention out of what you wanted to bring to you, you wouldn't bring it to you. And if you didn't put out the action items behind the intention, which then allows you to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish or bring into your life, what you want to bring into your life. And that is really powerful when you think about it. Okay, so you have to think about the things that really matter to you. And think about your values around what matters. Okay, people hear me talk about integrity. Integrity matters to me. Not only somebody else's integrity, but my integrity. So for me, I work really hard at being the most honest, trustworthy person and doing everything with the utmost integrity. Okay. I can hear the comments. I can hear the thoughts. Yes, I'm human. Yes, sometimes I don't have as much integrity as I want, as I aim for. But I will tell you, in the scope of integrity for me, what I put out there is probably 95+% of the highest of integrity, because it's that important for me. And the other side of that, the people in my life, they need to have integrity. Now, There's different levels, right? So it's like everyone you want to, no. But if you're going to be in my inner circle, in my trusted circle, yeah, I need integrity. I need to know that what you're telling me is real and true, and that you make an effort for it. Again, effort is not always succeeding, but an effort is not always failing. You can achieve great success with effort. Now, I've had a number of businesses, and some of them, I put in the effort, I put in the time, I put in all the elements that's in that recipe, but it didn't succeed the way I felt it needed to succeed. And I moved on to something else. But I did it. I handled everything with the most integrity I have. I could have left many of my vendors strung out, right? And not paid my bills and just said, sue me, and people write it off as cost of doing business, and most of them don't go after you. But I couldn't sleep at night if I did that. So for me, I made sure that what I did with integrity. Now, if somebody wasn't integrous to me, my friend says there's not a word. I made it a word. Integrous is a word for Marla. But I'll tell you, I had a candy manufacturing business. Another thing about sugar. And a guy came in and he goes, okay. And he goes, and I'm going to come back for more stuff. And took some easy to pack things out. Never showed up, never paid. Okay. A lot of lessons for me. But for the individual who did this, I'm sure his life was not a happy one, and it wasn't abundant. Because when people have to steal from other people, their life really is lacking in some capacity. I digress, I know. But these are important elements in the conversation, because no conversation is just like a pane of glass. It's faceted. There are so many levels and layers and shapes and to these conversations. They're much, much more in depth than what I'm talking about on a podcast. So figuring out what matters to you is important. Figuring out your values is important, because if you want to change your life, if let's say you want to have great relationships, but your values on relationships are not of the highest intention, meaning, you might stand them up, you might just say, it's okay, they'll call me, and not put in any effort. Well, where are your values around as a party of a relationship? Where are those values, and what do you bring to another relationship? Here's another question. Do you tell people your intentions? Do you make a vision board to see them every day? So I think my ride or dies. Yes, I will talk about what I want to do for the year, or my coach, what I want to do. But do I tell the world my intentions? No, I don't. And not because I'm afraid I'm not going to follow through on them, but this is something that's personal, for your personal growth. And unless the person you're telling is there to support you, then I don't feel it's like a secret. It's like a personal little secret. You can tell anybody you want, but then people hold you to it, or they judge you by it, or they criticize you around it. So for me, and not everybody, but there are, we all have those people in our lives, or we've had those people in our lives who, I wouldn't call them haters, but they're not your cheerleaders either. And so for that question, I would say, hold it to your chest. You don't need to brag about it or do it, but here's where the bragging rights come in when you accomplish it. Here's an example. I just graduated Delphi University this past October with my doctorate and being an ordained minister. Did I tell people I was going after that? Not until I was really close to it, or it had to do with scheduling. And that's when I said, no, I'm going for my doctorate. But when I started 2 years ago, was I talking about going for my doctorate? Absolutely not. It wasn't even in the purview, wasn't in the conversation. It's like a personal challenge. It's like weight loss. If you want to lose weight or get more toned or healthier, the best thing to do, in my opinion, of course, in the world of Marla, is to do that for yourself, not for anybody else. Because if you have a partner who makes comments about your weight or the fact that you have thick hips or thick thighs, you don't want to tell them because they're not going to be supportive. They're not going to be a cheerleader for you. You need to be a cheerleader for yourself. And how can you do that if you really need to express maybe some frustrations that are going on? Journal daily your accomplishments, your struggles. It's okay to struggle as long as you don't let the struggle overcome the goal, take it away, or make you throw up your hands and say, screw this. This is between you and yourself. Really, mostly, that's what intention settings are, goals are. Now, the caveat is, if this is a business conversation and you need to get a lot of people on board of what you want the year to look like and what you want to accomplish and you want them to accomplish, then yes, you do share your intentions and your goals with other people. Okay, so I hope that helps. Now, vision board. I used to do the vision board, and then a friend of mine talked to me about a vision book. And I just actually heard about vision cards, which are a little smaller. But so what's a vision book? So for me, each page or pages is a different subject. So for example, travel. And then on my pages, I cut out words and pictures and locations, hotels, experiences that I want to have during travel. So there are my travel page or pages. Relationships. Let's talk family. Well, what do most people want in family? Well, they want to get along. They want harmony, peace. They want memories, positive memories over negative ones. They want support. And these are things you might put on your family. If you want to grow your family and you're newlywed, well, maybe write the word baby or babies, or growing family, things like that. Pictures of a nursery or things that resonate in your heart that you would want to see in your family. Another page might be your romantic relationship or relationships. Some people are not monogamous. That's okay. That's their choice. And you might want to put a picture of, let's say you want to get married. Well, find a picture of somebody who is attractive to you. An engagement ring. The words about and what you want in your relationship. Fun, adventurous, supportive, loving, funny, creative. And you put that in the vision book. But here's the great thing. You can take this book and keep it next to your bed. And before you go to bed, you can go through all the pages and look at the pictures and the words, or you can just go through the ones that you really need to look at, that you feel that needs boosting. I just was talked to by a friend of mine. She was telling me she does these little 5x7 cards. And in the 5x7 cards, each card is exactly what we're talking about. And she keeps the card and she flips through the cards. For me, I'm still a vision book person because you can flip through the book first thing in the morning to start your day and how you want to start it, and then remind yourself of what you want to achieve and accomplish. And before you go to bed, so it's the last thing you see, so you can bring it into your dreams. You can also talk to your beings before you go to bed and thank them for all their activity, the flurry of activity that they put around you, because they know what you want to bring into your life. Another way of doing it. So I hope that helps. Um, so let's talk about the areas that you might want to consider when setting an intention. I break things into the categories. This is in the world of Marla. You can do it the way it makes you feel comfortable, but I use a category. So I have, well, I'm married now, so I break it into, let's say, my business, and then I break my business down into classes, speaking engagements, the podcast that you're listening to right now, um, the books I want to write. I see them being bestsellers. I see being asked to be a part of interviews because of the books I've written and the ones I'm writing. I break it down into, I'm trying to think of the other areas. I mean, there's so many, again, like I said, travel, other relationships, friendships, your gal pals or your man crew. If you're male and you want to have more male friends to do things with, or female and you want more females to do things with, or couple friends, you can have a page for that. And then, or you can have a line item of that, right? And then what I suggest, and this is what I do, is prioritize. So I put next to the list, and I'm doing this as a list, not as a book, 1 to 10. Next to each one, where's my priority? And not 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's the order it's going to go in, which it could be, because you might have 2 10s. Maybe moving more and losing weight are huge priorities for you. If you can make them both 10s, then there's the next step. Then underneath them, you can talk about the values you have around that. So, for example, if you've always been a little lax with your diet, well, you don't want to make it insurmountable. So you make the values on it, what's important to you and why. And then you take this, then you make underneath that steps of action. How are you going to accomplish this? So you could say, I'm going to stop eating fast food, or I'm only going to eat fast food twice a week instead of 7 days a week. I'm going to eat one more vegetable a day than I'm already eating, or one vegetable and one fruit. Don't make it huge. Don't start saying, because sometimes, and I'm a healthy eater, but sometimes I do not get in 5 fruits and 5 vegetables a day. My time eating does not allow that. So then I put it into categories, and I break everything down. And then under each area, like I said, the bullet points of what you want to bring, what do you want you to bring into these experiences, or what you want to release from those experiences. Also, you want to, like I said, I know I'm repeating and I apologize, but really make bullet points on how you're going to achieve it. And please make them small, digestible bites. Don't make them, like instead of saying I'm going to eat the whole meatball, you just take a bite of meatball. That's how this works. Take little digestible bites of, and those are your steps. Each bite is a step, and make them ones you're able to do. So, for example, then bring some new interests into your life, and I'll get into that in a second. But the point is, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't give you too many steps to do, because you come back to this throughout the course of the year, these intentions. You check out the ones you've accomplished. So, for example, if you eat fast food 7 days a week and you say, I'm going to cut back to 2 days a week, and you've accomplished doing that, check. If you cut it back to 4 days a week, well, it's not the same check, but it's still a check because you've made a change. And then hopefully it has done something to you see the change, what your change has made in your life, the change it's made in your life. So one change brings another change, it's a domino effect. I just want to make sure you just don't overwhelm yourself with what I'm suggesting you to do. Let's see, what else is put down here? When you're doing these practices, be thoughtful about them, be honest with yourself about them, and be specific. You need, the devil's in the details. Be as specific as you can be. And that really helps because it really hones your focus by being specific. Being honest, obviously, it's important that you're honest to say, okay, I have to start over. And it's okay to start over. Sometimes we veer off course. We just need to turn the wheel and get back on course, get back on that path. The most important thing is, don't beat yourself up over it. It's not worth it. What you need to do is be gentle with yourself. That doesn't mean giving yourself excuses to go back to your old patterns. It is about saying, okay, I was stressed. I was in a bad mood. I was tired. I was craving. You did it. So tomorrow, the new blank canvas of the day, I'm going to restart this. And I'm going to watch out what I'm doing. It's really a positive thing to be able to do that. In addition, bring some new things to expand your life. Many of us, as we become adults, we used to like things like, I'm just thinking of kids, roller skating, playing dodgeball, playing, creating things, playing dolls, playing house, but it's all about the imagination, right? And as we grow up and we get more and more entrenched in our lives, a lot of times those things we enjoyed doing fall away. And we stop doing them. And what happens when you stop doing those things that really brought curiosity into your world as a child, which expanded your mind? Well, it stops expanding your mind. So it's really important that you look at things that bring joy into your life too. When you're setting intentions and when you're planning your changes and what you want out, your goals in your life, let's add things that really can expand us as individuals. And let's not forget our inner child and how this will affect your inner child. When was the last time your inner child giggled with you or spoke to you? Many people who are metaphysical and they do inner child practices like meditations or communications, well, they do it a little bit more often. But the average human being doesn't talk to their inner child. As a matter of fact, if the inner child rears his head and said, oh, go on, throw that water balloon or throw that snowball, as long as it's not injurious to somebody. And you go, no, I don't have time for this. I'm too serious to play. Well, your inner child needs to play. You need to play. And your inner child is reminding you that you need to play. So I'm going to stop the conversation quickly because it's charity shout out time. And one of my favorite charities, especially while I'm in the Midwest, is Pause Chicago. And that's PAWZ Chicago.org. It's a no-kill shelter. I love my animals. But if this is a national or international, work on feeding children. Anything, no kids go hungry. Do all of the charities that I support and I love have to do with service, with support and help. And children and animals are two big ones. And the reason being is children depend on us for their well-being, and animals depend on us for their well-being. And whether they're a wild animal or domestic, sometimes you need to step in. And I'll give you an example that I live on the water when I'm in North Carolina. And there was a duck who had something happen to her leg. And it was painful. You could see it was painful. She couldn't move on it. And she was being abused by other ducks. And I called the animal fowl rescue to rescue her, to help her, because it was getting worse. And it got so bad that the skin on her leg, little duck leg, went away, and it was just a skeleton. And you hear people go, but it's just a duck. It's a duck, but it's a human being. I mean, it's not a human being, but it's a living thing, and it has pain. And even though I know about nurture nature, but still, I was willing to do something about it because I wanted her, and I know it was a female duck. I wanted her to be able to live out her days without pain. She might have one less leg, but she's still able to swim and reproduce and live a somewhat normal life. So that was a passion for me. But whatever your passion is, maybe one of the things you want to incorporate in your intention and goals is that you're going to be more charitable this year. And you can support what I believe in and what I'm passionate about, or you can develop a passion on your own, the environment, ecology, for the waterways, cleaning those up. There's so many ways you could be of help and service. And if you don't have any extra disposable income, that's okay. You can see what else they might need. Shelters need old blankets, old towels. They don't care if they're ripped. They're probably going to rip them themselves, but they need it for the cages, for the animals. So if you can start thinking beyond what's going on in your world and think about how you can be of service to somebody else, it will help expand and enlarge your life. So thank you for letting me say this. And I am going to now talk about things to bring into your life to sort of ignite your soul, your passions, create new passions. I always talk with my clients to think about what makes your heart sing. And a lot of people are so shut down, their heart doesn't sing about anything. So let me throw some things into the hopper, into this conversation that will really help you expand and get your heart really fluttering, bringing joy into your life. Okay. Creativity. I talk about creativity often. Reason being is creativity knows no bounds. It may sound far-fetched to somebody you're sharing it with, but how many far-fetched inventions are we now using? Look at the computer. Look at what you're listening to, the device you're listening to this podcast on. The radio, the TV, electricity, all of these, somebody created. And how it supports and helps our lives today. Can you imagine what life would be like without a flushing toilet or a water heater? What would our life be if we didn't have lights, electricity? Well, we certainly wouldn't be using our devices, would we? I don't think so. So whether it's in the arts, whether it's music, ecstatic dance, ballroom dancing, what else can you be creative about? Cooking. Cooking is creativity. Baking is a little bit more of a science, but the decorating, that's the creativity. Excuse me. I love three-dimensional cutout cakes. So when Duff Goldman had his show many, many years ago, he and his creativity, his team and their creativity really blew me away because it was like, oh my God, I never thought about doing this or about doing that. That's why sometimes these TikTok videos or Facebook videos, when it shows creativity or hacks, it's like, oh my God, that's so amazing. So do your best in trying something new or bringing something back into your life that you used to do and you used to enjoy, but you put it down. Knitting, needlepoint, um, creating games. Look at all these game inventors. Who invented cards against humanity? Oh my God, it's hysterical. It's raunchy. But how someone had to think out of the box to create that, right? And let's look at the other side of that. They created this, and look at how abundant this funny, raunchy, outside of the box kind of card game has made for them. And it started how it started, right? They let's create this card game. I think this would be hysterical. So creativity is huge. Let's see. We talked about changing your diet or eating healthier. Back in the day, I've shared with you, sugar. I was a sugar addict. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I needed my chocolate. I needed my sugar. And oh, don't get me started about buttercream. Oh my God. And if I started eating sugar tomorrow, I would be such a buttercream fanatic. As a matter of fact, when I had family events, especially big ones like weddings, bar mitzvahs, things like that, I can't tell you how many bakers I went to because more than the cake, the buttercream was way more important to me. And then I did a self challenge one day. I said, I have to see if I could go one day, 24 hours without sugar. And that was really tough because I ate sugar multiple times a day. Well, I went 24 hours. The next day I said, wow, I went 24 hours. Let's see if I can do 2 days. I did 2 days. The same with 3 days and then 4 days. Well, to date, other than things that, areas of food where I can't control some of the things that are in it, it's been 7 years and 3 months that who had a bakery, who had a candy manufacturing business, who was a complete sugar addict, hasn't had sugar. I have not been in a traditional bakery eating pastries, cakes. And now I've learned to do gluten-free, sugar-free cakes with different kinds of flours that I can consume, but I haven't gone back to the old way. It was a self-challenge. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to be healthier. Challenge yourself to take something out of your life that you know doesn't serve you. But that's a challenge for you. Go into nature more. And here's the thing. So I have Move Your Body, which you can do through dance or working out or walking. And I love when I walk. When I'm doing my walks, I walk 5 miles a day. Not every day, but 5 miles a day. And well, you can be in nature and walk outside and check 2 things off your box. Now, if gardening isn't your thing because you can't bend over, well, be a vessel gardener where you have containers and you put them on your deck or you put them around your house and make them indoor plants. But it's a way to be around nature, have your hands in dirt, and really reconnect to that nature spirit. Read more. I love fiction. I don't get to read fiction very often, but I love fiction. And in fiction, you can then tie that to creativity because, when you're reading a book, your imagination has to take place because you have to visualize the characters of the book, the locations, what they're doing, how they're doing it. And the better the author in describing what's going on, the more your creativity gets triggered. If it's nonfiction, well, guess what? It covers two things as well. It covers obviously reading and expanding your mind, but getting more education, continuing education into your life. Maybe you don't have the time or the resources to go to school, but that doesn't mean that you can't read something nonfiction and it help you expand your life, expand what your knowledge base. Let's see. Trying something new. Trying something, getting through that veil of fear. Many of us don't want to try anything new because it's what they're accustomed to. They don't want to try it. Whether it's a new cuisine or a new adventure, sort of like zip lining or the high ropes challenge. Now, I will share with you, I do have, issues with heights. I'm not totally afraid of heights, but I will go, and it will take my breath away. But what I do is I push myself through the veil of fear. And then what I find out is that wasn't so bad. And that was really exciting. And I really enjoyed it. Or I didn't enjoy it and I'm not going to do that again. Those are ways that you will then be able to try something new and determine if you like something or not. I had a friend who's, and I did this with the children I adopted as well. They were very limited on what they would eat. And I would bring new things foods into them. And they wouldn't want to touch it. Not with a 10-foot pole. But my answer to them is take one biteful. If you don't like it, guess what? You never have to eat it again. But at least you know why you don't like it rather than just because it's a funny color or it looks strange to you. Some of the strangest food is the yummiest. And the same thing happened with my girlfriend's son. I brought a carrot casserole and it had brown sugar and nuts on it. And he was like, no, I don't want that. I said, just taste it. You put a little dollop down, he put his fork in it. Well, that became a must-have item for that holiday for him. I'm assuming he still loves it, but if he didn't try it, how would he know? That goes with anything new. How do you know if you don't try it, right? Okay. We talked about volunteering and being of service. Meditating. Meditating is powerful on so many levels. It relieves stress, brings down blood pressure, allows you to be creative, allows you to get in touch with you. Meditation and slow, deep breathing have so many amazing benefits. I mean, there's just so many. And if you don't try it, how would you know? And here's the thing. You might say, I don't have time. Well, I think you have 4 minutes, 3 minutes to close your eyes and slowly breathe and count your breaths. And I will tell you, when you come back into the world after those couple of minutes, you will feel refreshed. Your mind will feel clearer. And you'll make you want to do this more and more often. And pretty soon you won't be paying attention to the time. And the next thing you know, 10 minutes will go by, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. And then you can journal what it is you experienced. Okay, let's talk about what brings you joy. If you don't know what brings you joy, again, it's starting to try things to see what brings you joy. And even if you say, writing a book might bring me joy. Well, you might start writing the book and find, no, it's too arduous. It's too much work. This isn't a joyful process to me. Change it and do something else. Maybe it's a child's book. Maybe it's a comic book. Maybe you just start writing quotes. You start thinking of things. But it's finding the things that bring you joy, that light you up, that will help enhance this year, this life of yours on so many levels. I have 3 more quick things and then I have to wrap up. Learn not to take things personally. It's not personal. Most of the time when things happen, it's not about you. It's about the person that is doing the whatever, that is extending the negativity. That's about their issues, their wounds. And it's an easy way to, we talked about mantras and affirmations. And if not, I left that go. That's another thing that's really powerful to bring into your life. Make it a mantra. It's about them, not about me. It's about them, not about me. Their behavior, their wounds, their whatever. Now, if it is about you, please take ownership for it and take responsibility, because that only strengthens you and your resolve. Learn to let things go, especially the small stuff. It's not worth the energy you expel around it. I understand, when something is a big whatever, but let go of the small stuff. It will make your life more joyful. And the last but not least, develop relationships with people who accept you for who you are, love you, and support you for the person that you are. You don't have to change yourself for anyone, because there are people out there who will recognize the amazing, beautiful, brilliant individual that you are. Okay, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this first podcast of 2023. I really think that setting intentions is powerful, and I know that it will be powerful in your life. If you have questions about this podcast or the content, email me at either guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com or marla@mghealer.com, and I'd be happy to answer that for you. I want to thank Bridget for taking time for all she does for me. She's my right hand, my left hand, my tech genius. I just love her, and I'm so grateful for her each and every day. So thank you, Bridget. I want to remind you that if you like Guided Spirit Conversations podcast, like it, subscribe to it. Don't miss a single episode. Also, review it. Let me know what you think. The content, do you like it? What would you like to see talked about? What modalities should I bring the experts in for? Who should I bring in? Do you have somebody that you know that I may not know? And maybe it would be a great fit for the show. Let me know who they are, because I really, truly want to do that and bring you what it is you want for you. Okay? I thank you for that. Also, I can't remember next week's guest, so please tune in next week, because I know it's going to be a fabulous show. I've got some incredible people. Now, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to be out of town, and I have a guest host who's Beth Lynch, and she will be here next Thursday to talk to you about the guest in question. So please tune in, be kind to her, send her questions, be a part of the show, because she's an amazing being, and I just love Beth. It's J. Scott Berry. So J. Scott Berry is not only an illusionist, but he is a mystic, and he is a musician, and we're going to talk about all the mystic and magic around him and how he works with his people. As I leave you, as always, I'm going to send you love. I'm not going to. I am sending you love, blessings, and gratitude. I'm so grateful that you're in my life in whatever capacity you're in it. Not only are you my student, you are my teacher. Not only am I a teacher, I am your student. And if you haven't heard these words today, I'm going to say them. I love you. And not only do I love you, not only do your friends and family love you, but there are so many beings on the other side of the veil who love you and are just waiting for you to ask them for what you want. So please ask them for help, support, guidance, an experience, whatever it is you want, ask them, be detailed about it. And if you can say it out loud, even better, because that's when they can start to conspire on your behalf. Let them help you manifest what it is you want to manifest, especially in the start of this beautiful new year, 2023. To my friend David, happy, happy birthday. I love you. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Stay well.